Hey guys, this video is going to be about replacing a leaking valve cover gasket on a 2002 Ford Focus with the Z-Tech engine. Alright, so the first thing that you want to do is remove the 4 spark plug wires off of the spark plugs. With this vehicle, you don't need to worry about the order that the spark plugs go in because they will only reach one spark plug, which is the furthest one out. In most cases, when you pull the spark plug wires out, when you look down at the spark plug, you will see oil on the spark plug from leaking inside the valve cover. I will show you a picture down inside what you will actually see following this. When I first bought the vehicle, I changed the spark plugs immediately, and upon taking the spark plug boots out, I noticed that there was oil in there. When I buy any vehicle, I always use Lucas oil treatment in order to make sure that the engine is running as best it can. Since pouring the Lucas oil treatment into my engine, the leaking on the inside towards the spark plugs has stopped. Now I'm still going to replace this just for the pure fact that the outsides are still leaking and I know it's faulty. But if you're in a pinch, put some Lucas oil stabilizer in there and you can possibly get by for a little bit longer. The next step is going to be to remove the 11 bolts on the valve cover gasket and this cover right here. There's 9 on here in very obvious locations. I'm sorry, 10. There's 2 right here and 3 over here. And then there's going to be 2 on this cover. And all you're going to need to do is peel back the cover after you get it off. The socket I am going to be using is an 8mm socket, and that fits all of the 12 bolts on the valve cover. You want to make sure that you have a magnetic pan or a cup to put your bolts into. I'm using just a simple free magnetic 6-inch pan from Harbor Freight. Once you have all the bolts out, all you need to do is remove this little hose right here, the breather hose, and your valve cover gasket will come right off. Peel this cover back, because the only thing holding this thing down is this thing over the cover overlaps the valve cover. And that's the removal of your valve cover gasket. So in order to get the valve cover gasket off the valve cover, you're going to need a little screwdriver. And then you're just going to stick it in the side and pry it out. Once completed with that, all we're going to do is match up the gaskets, clean out the valve cover, and then reinstall it. Alright, so now that we've matched up our gaskets, it's time to clean the valve cover. I've got some AutoZone brake cleaner that will do the job. Clean it up nice. And take out the cap. That way it doesn't mess up any of the seals on it. Now that you're at this point, it's a good time to just inspect and look and see if there's anything wrong inside the top half of your motor. If you don't have any experience looking inside your motor, if there's something major going on, you will notice it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all of this off. I'm just going to use a shop towel with some brake cleaner on it. I'm just going to scrub this all down, make sure it's nice and clean, and I don't have any residual gasket left over on here or oil that will prevent it from sealing. Alright, so the valve cover is all dried. I put the new gasket in. It's in there nice and firm and seated. Everything matches up perfect. Inside is all cleaned up, nice and dry. There's no residue or anything left on there. So all I'm going to do is just flip this over, toss it back under this cover, and put some screws in. You want to be careful when you're putting this back on that you basically just go straight down. That way the gasket doesn't have time to fall out or anything. Some people like to pull it in at an angle, but personally I just like putting it in almost straight down. You just grab your screws, place a couple in, and then you'll be good to go. When you're tightening the bolts back up, you don't want to tighten them all the way. I like to go from the inside and slowly work my way out, just making it gently nice in there. And then you will come back around later and finish tightening them up evenly. When you're tightening them back up, I like to make at least 3 passes, making sure that all the bolts are tight without over tightening them. The hotter your engine is, the easier it's going to be for you to strip the aluminum. Alright, so this is my 4th time going over the bolts. Every time you put it down, it's going to loosen up the bolts again. So you don't want to get too much pressure on here. You just grab it and turn it by hand. You'll find some bolts are completely loose, but don't be Hercules and crank on them and strip them out, because then you'll be really sorry. Alright, so the last couple things you need to do, just got to put this hose back on, and then you got to put the spark plugs back in. Now, one thing that I like to do, because I'm particular with the way I do some things, is since I pulled the boots off again, I'm going to put some more dielectric grease on it. That way they stay nice and sealed on the spark plugs and you don't really have to worry about anything. It's been a little bit since I put them on, so it's always good to just freshen up on them. Doesn't take long, and if you don't have a big container like this, you can just pick up a packet at AutoZone for 99 cents. Alright, so this final step is to see how good of a job you did. What you're going to do is you're going to start the vehicle, let it run for 5 minutes. If the valve cover gasket didn't seat up properly, you'll see some smoking. You'll also smell a lot of oil and most likely see it running. Because if you screw it up, you screwed it up big time, not minutely like it was before. So I'm going to go start it up and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so it's been 5 minutes. Outside looks good. One check you want to make is just pull out one of the spark plug wires. Look down inside, see if there's any oil. If there's oil, it'll be obvious. If not, you're good. This is how you replace the valve cover gasket on a 2002 Ford Focus Z-Tech motor. Thanks for watching my videos. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you like this video, check out some of my other videos on the 2002 Ford Focus and some around the house do-it-yourself projects. Subscribe below to see more upcoming projects with this vehicle. Thanks again for watching.